is the worst reason someone canceled their plans with you? Story 1. A girl said she would have to bail on our coffee date because she forgot her friend was getting her leg amputated that day. First off, how do you forget about something like that? Second, how can you not laugh when I reply, well, I can't keep you from that. I hate for your friend, and I had to get off on the wrong foot. Story 2. There was this girl who I had a crush on for years. Long story short, lots happened in my life, but it led to us becoming better friends than ever. Things were going great, and my feelings were ever growing. A meteor showing was happening in a few days, so I asked her if she wanted to hop in my convertible and find a quiet place away from the city lights to sit back in the car and watch it with me around midnight. She said yes, awesome, about an hour before she texted me saying that there was a problem at home, and she couldn't go. The plans were off. I later found out what happened. Her mom freaked out because the girl bought avocados. Apparently in the past, her mom associated recently buying avocados with someone close to them dying. Apparently this avocado death thing happened a couple of times. So this girl who I liked bought avocados, and her mom freaked because that was going to cause someone to die. Spoilers. It didn't, which caused our canceled plans. Story 3. This was a friend, not me, but it's just too good not to share. My roommate in college had set up a first date with this girl on the gymnastics team. But he stood her up because his guild clan was camping a rare mob in EverQuest. Let me be clear here, he skipped a date with a college gymnast in order to camp a mob in a game. Story 4. My ex-best friend said she couldn't come see me because she was tired. Of course, she told me after I was already where we had arranged to meet. Where was that? I'd take a boat to meet her. I traveled to A Island. We planned a surprise party for my friend. Told him to come around for a bit of a gaming sesh a couple days prior. He agreed. About an hour before his planned arrival, he called me in a semi-panicking voice saying that he can't make it because his dad was just bitten by his dog and they're in the hospital. His dad was in the same room as I was, also waiting for him to come. Turns out he was hanging out with another one of his friends, and he got too stoned and wigged out. Drugs are bad, kids. Story 5. I once had a friend cancel band practice because, my dad is back from the Arctic early because his polar bear detector froze over. Turns out his dad is actually an anthropologist and explores the Arctic rather frequently. Story 6. I had a friend ditch me for someone cooler and more popular right in front of me. We were going to go see Titanic that night. It was opening day. So sometime in 1997 probably, had been looking forward to it for weeks. In class that morning, a cooler, more popular kid asked her if she wanted to come to his party that night, not me. BTW. Literally said yes. Then turned to me and said, sorry, jambalaya. No movie tonight after all. It really hurt my feelings. My dad said he would take me and my brother to the movie instead. The best part was the girl called me as we were leaving the house to tell me that the guy bailed on her. So she was free for the movie now. Told her I already plans, then sat through awkward scene next to my dad. We were supposed to go to the mall. Story 7. My mom is the worst for flaking. When I lived with my mom, it was just me and her. I had no friends where she lived, nobody to talk to. The internet was awful. Worst of it all, she was an alcoholic. One night my mom talked with me about going out to eat with my brother and grandparents. I perked up and was pretty excited. I haven't seen my brother in months at that point. All week I was hyped. It's all I could possibly look forward to every day. We were picking my brother up, right? We're going to pick him up. My dad doesn't have to drop him off, right? Her answer, yeah, we're going to get him. That day comes around. We head to my grandparents. I'm really excited. I use my mom's cell to call and tell him to be ready. All right, we get to my grandparents. We're talking and grandma says, why don't you two ride with us? There was my grandma, my grandpa, and my cousin. Mom says, sure. I quickly say, hey, what about brother? Mom says, oh, well, just see him another time. I was livid. I quickly explained how I haven't seen him in months. I haven't spent time with anyone I could relate to. I had no friends at the school I went to. I pointed out that she said all week that we'd get to see my brother, and the tears begin. Grandparents say, well, pick him up. They save the day. I was just happy to see my brother. Story 8. My parents once mentioned to an acquaintance that it would be nice sometime to see their house and have a meal. The acquaintances said that this wouldn't be possible because they didn't have a table, and that they ate every night with their plates on their knees whilst watching TV, and that the sound of my parents knocking on the door would make them jump and cause their plates of food to land on the floor. This genuinely was their excuse. Story 9. A friend once told me he couldn't make it out because he stopped to help a girl who got a flat tire and wound up banging her. Sometimes I still wonder what he was actually up to that night. Story 10. I was moving away and would probably not see him very often, so I thought I'd invite him over for drinks the night before I left. All was good until he never showed up and didn't reply to my texts. On the way to my new home, I started texting him, and his excuse was, oh, I went to someone else's house and stayed over, but my phone ran out of battery, which basically translates to, yeah, I was going to meet you, but this sounded more fun. I felt a bit rejected. Story 11. They just completely flaked, didn't pick me up or let me know that they weren't going to pick me up. I was 15 and my friend had turned 16 and got his license. We had planned to just go driving around doing whatever on a Friday night, because why not? We were kids who now had access to a car. Well, I sat and waited and ended up texting him, then calling him with no answer all night. So I spent my Friday night alone because my friend bailed on me. Later, he said he left his phone in his car all night and was hanging out with his girlfriend. Okay, whatever, but I got completely left hanging. He did it again a couple years later when we were planning a trip to a theme park with another friend. He just didn't show up the night before to spend the night, wake up early, and go to the park. Called a couple times and finally called his mom. And he said he had changed his mind, thanks. Stop bailing on plans at the last minute, because you just don't feel like it's suddenly. Story 12, a friend and I were supposed to go see Kendrick Lamar at a festival. She bought my ticket as a late birthday gift to me. Our seats were lawn seats, and a friend of hers offered to buy her a seat near the front. She went with the other friend. I didn't get to go. Story 13, he didn't feel like going, so he asked to postpone. I found out later that day that his grandfather passed away, and the wake ceremony was that night. I felt guilty for assuming that he was lazy. So I came to pay my condolences. It turns out he didn't attend, because he didn't feel like it either. Story 14, I was very sick. I had an appointment the next day with my doctor to talk about surgery, make big decisions, and where I would likely be admitted. My boyfriend at the time was supposed to come over that night, watch movies, cancels at the last minute, but is extremely apologetic, begs me to let him come in the morning to see me before my appointment in the afternoon. So he's supposed to be there at 10. I got up and showered and changed clothes despite feeling like I could have stayed in bed several more hours. 955 he calls, not coming. Why? He's working. How long has he known he was working then? Days. He ceased to be my boyfriend shortly after that. Story 15, there's an annual town parade, and my parents' house is right where it goes through. Every year my family and friends gather there, and we have beers, food, and generally a good time. Last year, though, after the plan to see the event there was set, about half a day prior to the event, I got a call from one of my friends saying, "Oh, we don't want to bother your family at your house. We would be better off going to this other location. We feel we can't be ourselves." After I already spent some money buying extra beers, chairs, food, and a table, later I found out that all this was because said friend's douchebag, drug-dealing cousin who came to visit said he felt stupid seeing the event with old people and kids. I could understand this from 12 to 15-year-old kids wanting to feel and trying to impress someone. These were 31-year-old guys with kids. Story 16, although I felt for them, I feel like I have to now, so I'm going to be late, and then just calling it off 5 minutes later is just, I could have waited. How big was this dump? Story 17, I had bought us tickets to see Avatar in IMAX, but one of her friends texted her that Dustin Diamond was appearing at a local nightclub. So sorry, but I'm a houge, Saved by the Bell fan love screech. Dorktastic, I know. So sorry. Story 18, had a friend cancel a road trip with me, who had been planning for months because his 19-year-old sister was scared of staying home alone. Edit to clear things up, we were both 22 and in college. They both lived at their parents'. She was a bum who had failed out of college and had no job and no life plans. Their parents happened to be out of town the same week. She would have been fine. It was him who was frightened of taking a road trip. Hence the lame excuse 3 days before we were supposed to leave. Story 19 claimed she picked up a work shift. Snapchat showed that she was at home watching Netflix. I told her, "I thought you were working." She said, "No, I'm off today. Nothing to do." So she didn't just forget that she lied to me about having to work and thus canceled. She forgot she made plans with me in the first place. They found something better to do. At least they could have lied to spare my feelings. Story 20, this will probably get buried, but hands down the worst was in 6th grade. I had this friend Aaron at the time. We met during karate and liked to skateboard, so we naturally hit it off. We have been friends for about a year and a half now and would rotate every other Saturday, sleeping over at either his house or mine. This was always something we looked forward to until I met his friends at this little summer bonfire he has. Aside from being from another school, I thought I made a decent impression. Turns out I was the weird one. The next Saturday, Aaron was due over at 6 p.m. as usual. 630 rolls around. He's a no-show. 7 comes, and I'm sitting in my driveway watching the cars go by. 700, I get a call from Aaron saying he had a dentist appointment he forgot about. Makes sense. I remember being so disappointed and sad knowing he clearly was lying. I think this went on a couple more weeks before my mom talked me into just letting it be. He ended up hitting me up years later after HS graduation on Facebook, looking for weed. I agreed to meet up with him, and that's when I had to ask. Apparently, I did something stupid at that fire, and his friends all thought I was a loser. Ended up having that discussion over a blunt, and even years later, it still hurt. Haven't seen him since. Story 21, one of my friends wanted to work out with another friend of mine. He ended up not showing up to the gym and later texted him saying he had joined the army. Story 22, so this girl hit me up to get brunch on Sunday. Sat night, I didn't hear anything from her, so I hit her up like, "Hey, is brunch still on?" To which she answered, "Oh, sorry, I have to prepare cook for Father's Day." But I checked my calendar. Father's Day is not in another week. So I let it go and gave her the benefit of the doubt, like maybe her family is celebrating a week early. Anyway, on the real Father's Day date, I saw her FB check-in of a buffet tagging Happy Father's Day. TLDR, she cooked a whole buffet a week early, so she canceled plan. Story 23, I once told my friend I couldn't meet up because I was helping my grandmother put up her curtains. He cracked the shits and accused me of lying, etc., etc. I really was helping my grandmother put up her curtains. Story 24 wasn't me, but my dad is A and did this to my mom. His job is basically to sit at home all day, answer phone calls and emails, and profit. He and my mom planned to go to a casino resort for the weekend, and my mom was super excited. Room was booked and everything. They're getting ready to leave. Dad gets a phone call. Mom wants him to just bring the phone and head out. He says, "We can't go. I'm on the phone." Gets off phone 15 minutes later, reclines back in his chair. Mom is like, "WTF?" Dad says, "We couldn't go. I was on the phone. That was it." They didn't go, canceled the room, and got charged for same-day cancellation. Story 25, not so much a total cancel. But I had a friend visiting London from Manchester because he was on a work training course. Don't see him much, so we went for a drink. We drank right next to his train station for his convenience, and I also started work early and worked through lunch so I could knock off early and have more time with him. Since he could expense travel, he got first class. He left 2.5 hours earlier than his train was due to depart because he wanted to go sit in the first class lounge. Story 26, my friend and I booked a trip to another state together 6 months in advance. The day after I paid a fee that was involved, she told me she wasn't going to be able to go after all because she was going on a bigger vacation a few months after we were scheduled to go and didn't want to spend the money. Story 27, a friend was supposed to pick me up at the airport after a return flight. He didn't show. Later, all he said was, "I was with this new girl I'm dating. Things are going great," and I didn't want to interrupt the flow of the moment. Story 28, an ex-friend canceled on a dinner date we had planned for ages because she was going to attend the birthday dinner of a friend who she hadn't met yet. "Oh, but you can come too if you want," she said. "Rather go yourself," I said. Story 29, I had planned to go to the gym with my local flaky popular girl. She called me half an hour before saying that she didn't have a car to get to the gym as her husband had it. I could drive, and we lived 10 minutes away from each other. I offered to pick her up, and she never replied. Story 30, worst reason, I canceled on someone I was stoned and didn't want to drive across the border to come get her from the train station. I left her stranded in Windsor, but she was also kind of a Story 31 girl. Said she needed to nap while I was rushing home and somehow still on time. Oh yeah, we got close, and I made sure to keep rubbing it in. We have to make it to dinner for 7, so schedule your 3-hour nap accordingly. Story 32, still feel bad about this. I had just moved midway through my junior year to a new state. Textbook scenario. I joined the football team, and one of the cutest girls at school asked me to prom while I was power cleaning one day. I was so flustered. I said, yeah. A week later, I got cold feet and told her I couldn't afford a suit and was visiting my old town. I have such a little defense. I did have insanely bad acne and insecurity, but Story 33, okay. This isn't me. But my friend just texted me, and she goes, "So I'm going on this date with this cute guy, and he's really cool, but I don't want to go because I know he has a small." She canceled her date and invited me over instead. Story 34, an ex, and I split up on good terms. He didn't want me to lose my friend, his friends GF and wives, as we all got along really, really well. So he invited me to the yearly Easter party and insisted I come. So I agreed and marked that I'd attend. Right before the party, the host contacted me and uninvited me because my ex was there, and she didn't want us at the same party to prevent drama. Neither of us are that type. Both very civil people. So I didn't show up. And I was quite hurt, as I even told her that he was the one who invited me and convinced me to even come. Nope. She said no, as she didn't want drama. Okay, my ex called me from the party and said, "WTF, where you said you'd come?" He was trying really hard to make sure I didn't lose my friends, as I'm very quiet and shy and was new to the city at the time. I told him I was uninvited and why. He was pissed and started a huge discussion on speaker over the phone. I was so embarrassed that I hung up, and no one from that group has heard or seen me since. I have no interest in causing drama or any sort of issues with others. I'd rather just go away and disappear into the shadows. He tried for months to contact me to get me to come to the next party, as he talked sense into the others. I never replied, and he finally just stopped. I'm sure if I hadn't moved, he would have shown up at my door and dragged me to the party. But he had no idea where I had moved to. I'm pretty much a hermit, but I'm okay with that. Story 35. So this is the story of how everyone canceled plans at the last minute for a first grader's birthday party. The best thing about being in elementary school is all the birthday parties. My class had birthday parties all the time. My birthday is in February. So after months of going to everyone else's birthday parties, I was super excited. It was at my house about 15 minutes outside of town. Not that big a deal to drive around here, because everyone in town has to drive at least a half hour to the nearest mall or to Walmart. It was a tea party theme. My mom made these cakes that looked exactly like teapots and teacups. We were going to make our own hats too. Mom bought these wide-brimmed straw hats, silk flowers, and ribbons, and she was going to guide us in hot gluing them to make our tea party hats. Because it was a tea party, Mom had talked to the teacher, and the teacher thought it should be just fine if we only invited the girls in my class. The boys are definitely not going to be thrilled with silk flower hats. My mom had also talked to her other parents at other birthday parties, so they all knew what was up. All the girls' parents had confirmed with my mom that, oh yes, we will be there. My daughter is so excited to go to tea party. Then comes the day of my party. Out of 15 girls invited, only one showed up. My mom did the best she could to make this work. Luckily, I had 2 sisters, which brought our tea party to 4 girls. But the pictures of this party were sad. My mom had the dining room table set up to accommodate 16 little girls. In the picture, you only see 4 little girls at this huge table, obviously set for way more people who all look unsure as to what's going on. At the next birthday party, my mom, who is totally a kick, Mom, if you haven't noticed, asked all the parents why they never showed. She kept getting answer like, we weren't sure where you live because it's out of town, and the grandparents decided they wanted the kids to spend the day with them at the last minute. Or even my daughter's best friend decided not to go, so I didn't want to make my daughter go by herself. Good news, I became great friends with that one girl who did come to the tea party. Bad news, she later totally sabotaged my junior prom 11 years later. Story 36, my husband's cousin decided not to come to our house because we live in the town over from where he thought. He said he didn't want to take a day trip. It was an extra 6 miles. Story 37, I had this girlfriend way back in the 90s. Yes, I'm that old. So me and this girl, it was great. It was our true first love. We made vows and plans. And then she got depressed. She quit eating, slept 20 hours a day, and got really mean when I tried to help. So I contacted her family and got her some help. For the sake of her treatment, she broke up with me. I mourned the loss of what might have been and realized it was for the best and moved on. I couldn't keep in touch. Long-term treatment and all, years go by, as they often do, and one day I happened to run into her totally by accident and completely by surprise. Without even trying, we were back where we'd left off, only without the depression and other issues. So we made plans, and one night I had to cancel. Work was going to keep me later than I wanted, so I called her from a payphone. These are back in the days before cell phones and all. However, I get done with work early. Yeah, I go home and clean up and then head straight over to her apartment, only to find her and her ex-boyfriend from treatment doing cocaine, naked on the couch. I was really disappointed. Story 38, her cat was sick so many times. I invited her one last time to a cat sickness party. She canceled days later, citing a sick cat. I don't think she was smart enough to realize I was making fun of her. Story 39, in high school. I was driving around town with a friend, had a few hours to kill before we were supposed to meet up with another friend. We pull up to a stoplight, and my phone rings. It is the friend we're meeting up with. She says, hey, I can't go out tonight. My mom is PMS or some bullshit, and she's super angry for no reason. You know how my mom is. Anyway, I'm hiding out of my room right now, and I'm pretty sure I'm grounded. They'll see if she calms down later, but I'm pretty sure I'm stuck in this room for the next couple of hours. Shitty, right? My answer, yeah, that's cool, and all except if you turn to your left, you'll see that I'm in the next lane over, and I can see you with boyfriend right now. She didn't even turn to look, just dropped the phone and sped off. It was not the last time she did something like this, but it was the start of our declining friendship. Story 40, she didn't cancel. Other friends showed, but this one took 4 Benadryl and slept through everything with no warning. Basically an intervention type thing, where we were all going to see an obviously depressed friend to see if she was okay. We planned for weeks, and this couldn't be bothered to show up. Story 41, my brother once told me he couldn't come out as arranged because had watched 3 amazing films last night and was emotionally drained, with a straight face, no less. Story 42, she canceled our movie night because she said she was upset about her brother leaving for the military, which I understood. I came to find out she was getting back with her ex and didn't want to hurt my feelings. I just found out the truth 3 hours ago. Story 43, my female friend got upset, so I took her to dinner. She refused to pay for her meal. After dinner, we had planned to watch a movie with her and a couple other people in my room. She said she found out she had a bunch of homework to do and told me to cancel my plans because she didn't want to miss the movie. Well, after arguing with her about it for 15 minutes outside the restaurant, I gave in and told everyone to cancel the plans. Hey, race the kicker, she got together with the people I canceled with and watched a movie without me and didn't do her homework. What? Story 44, caught my ex in a lie when left early one day, saying her mom called her and needed her home. She actually really wanted to get a DQ Blizzard before it closed. Story 45, pretending to have canceled already. So many times my ex would do this. She was an ex at the time even, but I made the mistake of trying to remain friends, regardless of who came up with the plan, for example. Monday. Hey, let's go to the mall Saturday. Me sure, sound great. I'm done work at 12. We'll play from there or sweet. I have to get XYZ things from ABC, and such should be fun. Normal small talk ensues the following couple days Thursday. Man, I could really go for some Baskin Robbins. I haven't had it in forever. Me, I think there's still one in the mall. We'll have to stop there Saturday. No response. I assume busy Friday. Me, hey, we still game for tomorrow. No response Saturday. 11:30 a.m. Me, I'm done work soon. Meeting at your place or mine, or driving separate, or 1 p.m. Meanwhile, I'm home and ready. What's the deal? Will you stop harassing me? I already told you I wasn't going. I don't know why you can't get that through your head. What? The only form of contact we've had with each other since you planted this seed has been texting. We haven't seen each other. There's no phone calls on record. No Facebook bullshit. Just this text thread of every word we've spoken. What the do you mean I told you I wasn't going? We have been planning a trip for them to come visit. I kept pushing them to book their flight. Come on, things are cheap now. And they never did. Gets right up until a very short while before the planned week visit. And they tell me their pet's sitting a godcat because the owner couldn't find anyone else. And you know how shelters treat animals. One, the owner wasn't even a good person, but my friend is, they're not even friends now because the owner is a very manipulative, faux-friendly person. Two, the owner is rich, as I'm sure they could have found someone who wasn't busy or a good shelter. Three, I'm pretty sure it was just a lie and they couldn't actually come to see me, in which case I would have preferred the truth. I'm still salty about this. My friend and I have a really bad habit of planning to go to the gym early and having one of us oversleep. It's like a 13 chance that ITLL happen. Story 46, I had a friend in high school that would habitually use I have to mow the lawn as an excuse to not be able to hang out with the rest of the group. Usually the rest of us just kind of let it go, but one time he turned down an invitation to Six Flags based on this. And then we saw him there with a different group of people like, you knew where we were going, why lie about it? Story 47 looked at and agreed to rent a 3BR house with 2 friends, agreed to meet to sign the lease at a certain time with the landlord. 2 of us show up, ask the other guy WTF, get a text saying, yeah, I don't think college is for me, I'm not going to move there. Story 48, because my then girlfriend's mother saw a show about those who disappeared, kidnapped, and murdered for being informers to the British during the Troubles in Northern Ireland. With me being from the border region of Ireland and being a liberal Irish nationalist, she automatically decided that I must have had something to do with these. The kicker, that would be the fact that most of these people disappeared in the 1970s, and the fact I was born in 1985. Story 49, I had an ex-girlfriend stand me up a couple times. I really wanted to rekindle our relationship because I was still madly in love, so I make one last attempt, and I planned a formal dinner at a super fancy Italian restaurant. She shows up drunk 4 hours late with some ridiculous story about a cat breaking a vase in her dad's house and her not wanting to go home. I think that was the last time I saw her. Now she's peddling pyramid schemes. Story 50, to hang out with someone else. This girl I had plans with decided that instead of going longboarding with me like we had planned for like 2 weeks, she was going to go hang out with a coworker of ours at the beach. She didn't even try to make it sound any better than, oh, I'm hanging out with instead. I was speechless. Story 51, a guy friend who I had a crush on at the time was supposed to take me out for dinner for my 16th birthday, but canceled at the last minute because he had his braces tightened that day and said he wouldn't be able to eat anything. Story 52, my best friends and I plan on going floating down the river one day, was super excited for it. It was only a few of us, and all of a sudden we realized one of us wasn't texting back the day of finally after calls and calls. He said he couldn't come because he had a flat tire on his bike and had to change it. He didn't work that day or the next and had plenty of time. We showed up to his house, and he answered the door in his underwear with a girl in his bed. This is the friend that asked to hang out. And as soon as he shows up, gets off the couch and walks out the door, the second a girl asks to meet up, he pretends not to know why you're upset about it. Another time with the same friend, I said I'd have a birthday dinner for him. Cleaned my whole house and bought groceries only for him to ignore me all day. He finally texted me back saying he wasn't feeling well after spending the day with a new girl. Story 53, I have a friend who instead of saying they're not up to hanging out, they just don't say anything or respond on anything. They don't answer calls, texts, or messages on Steam, and then an hour later, I see them playing video games on Steam. Story 54, my cousin and I live like 500 miles apart, and we only get to hang out together like we used to as kids like twice a year at max. So we've gotten into the habit of planning to hang out like 6 weeks in advance when we're both back home visiting our moms. This May we were going to go see Civil War together on the opening weekend, but he bailed on me to attend to wife's boss friend's baby's shower, supposedly because his wife's car was getting repaired and she didn't want to have to rent a car to go. So not cool. Story 55, my worst excuse was when I told a friend I couldn't go to the cinema because I had to paint the outside of my house in winter during a storm. I felt like but I didn't want to say I didn't have money for the ticket. However, to answer your question, I had made plans to go on a trip with a friend. I arrive, and he goes and tells me he's getting his hair cut and cancels. Story 56, his aunt got sick and or died. Actually, his wife thought I was his ex. I'm very married, and he's very much not my ex. We took classes together in college, but I don't even know this dude's middle name. Story 57, I had plans that I made with someone who asked me to spend time with him. Plans have been double-checked and confirmed the night before. I show up about 14 hours after the final confirmation, where he told me to be at the time he said to be there. He's not there. He left town. He's with someone else on a day trip. I call him, and he says, "What? I'm not going to be there. I'm in a different county with so-and-so. Why are you there?" Story 58, my friend recently canceled our long-standing dinner plans because she needed to make a special lunch for her boyfriend who was going to be very busy at work the following day. My suggestion of can't he make or buy his own lunch didn't go over well. Story 59, had a guitar teacher back in middle school that would cancel on you basically every other week. My favorite, though, was the time he called me and said he couldn't see me this week because he burned his foot on the stove. Story 60, to take a slightly different angle. We had friends, a couple who were coming to visit from out of state. We were excited to see them, and we're working around their schedule, family stuff to try and find time to hang out with them. We identified an available night and made plans to meet up. When the night came, we headed out to meet up with them, only to walk into the restaurant bar and find them sitting at a table with 10 other friends, with whom they'd made the exact same plans. So while the plans weren't really canceled, they had effectively been changed into completely different plans without our knowledge. Now, had there been transparency up front, that would have been totally fine. 12 birds, one stone. There was just no reason to hide the fact that this was a group outing. Story 61, I had a going away thing because I was leaving the country. I wasn't just going for a bit, I was moving. So coincidentally, this overlaps with my birthday. So I essentially have a weekend party, paintball, pool, barbecue, people crashing over that night. I invited everyone I was friends with from multiple groups. I had people, specifically 2 girls who previously committed to coming, refuse to show up because I invited X. If X is going to be there, then no way they will show up because X has flirted with their boyfriends and blah, blah. You're seriously not going to say goodbye to me. Because of that, there's like 50 people here. You can easily avoid her. In the end, I told them to off and had a decent night and left the next week for Canada. Story 62 told me she had to look after her dad, who was ill. Perfectly legitimate excuse. Then posts on her Snapchat story videos of her at a party with the other friends I had also invited around. Story 63, plan to meet friend at mall at 5 p.m. 5 p.m., no text, chill for some time, start shopping. 7 p.m. rolls around, finally get a text. "Oh, sorry, I fell asleep. Maybe we should reschedule because it wouldn't be worth it now. The store's close in 2 hours. What?